Hello students, let us continue our discussion on current electricity, and today we are going to take the new concept which is electrical power and electrical energy. So the discussion is about electrical power and electrical energy. Okay. So as we know, power and energy are the terms which were related to mechanical work, mechanical things, isn't it? We have discussed about energy and work in the previous year, where energy is of various forms: kinetic energy, potential energy, in potential energy, spring, and all other things. And even we have studied that energy can be stored in a capacitor, which is equal to half CV squared. There also it is the amount of work done in storing the charge, which in turn stores as potential energy in the capacitor. And similarly, even when you put a charge into a region of potential difference, which means here you have lower potential, here you have higher potential, and you just leave a positive charge from here, it will accelerate towards this lower potential region, isn't it? So there also the potential energy of the charge is converted into electrical energy, is converted into kinetic energy, right? So when it comes to current electricity, we shall see now how exactly the electrical energy can be understood in the first place. And before that, let me define electrical energy. Okay, electrical energy is the amount of work done electrical energy is the amount of work done. So it is similar to that of all other potential energies that we have studied. Wherever we study potential energy, we start with the same thing, right? The amount of work we do will in turn store in the form of potential energy. Here we are doing the work, but the work we do is not stored in any form of potential energy. Instead, the work we do is utilized to maintain a steady current in the circuit given. Okay, so it is the amount of work done in maintaining a steady current in a electrical circuit. So now the question that comes is, do we need to do work in order to, or do we need to work in order to maintain current in a circuit? Yes, we have to do external work in order to maintain current in a circuit. For example, let me give you an idea. You might have seen this kind of device. It's a very simple device. Say assume this is the bulb, okay, and here the circuit is connected to a dynamo, and this dynamo is connected to wheels of a cycle, a wheel of a cycle, and here you have pedals for the wheel. Okay, so now if I keep moving this pedal, if I keep rotating this wheel, we can expect the bulb to glow, right? And once we stop pedaling, the glow stops, isn't it? So here what the complete phenomena happening here is mechanical energy converted into electrical energy and then converted into light energy. Okay, so here when as long as I pedal, a steady current is maintained in the circuit. When I stop pedaling, the current in the circuit stops, current becomes zero, and hence the glow stops. So now instead of all this setup, okay, because I took this example in order to convince you that yes, we have to do some work in order to maintain current in the circuit. Okay, And now I don't take all this setup, the pedal, wheel and the dynamo and all, I'll just remove them and simply put a battery here. Okay. Now look, here the amount of work that we did mechanically is done by this battery using its chemical energy. Okay. So when you connect the same circuit to a battery, here the work is done by chemical energy. The previous set, in the previous example of pedaling, the work is done by mechanical energy, right? And here the work is done by this energy in the cell, which is chemical energy, which is then converted into electrical energy, and then the bulb glows, right? You just break the circuit, that's it. There is no energy transferred, and hence there is no current in the circuit, no glow of bulb. As long as the bulb is connected to the battery, the chemical energy is spent in maintaining the current in the circuit, and hence the bulb keeps on glowing. Okay. So this is about electrical energy, definition of electrical energy, and understanding its concept. So this is what it is about. You have to do certain work in order to maintain current in the circuit. Okay. If you stop working, the current stops. That is how it acts. And now what is power then? Okay. Power is the rate of doing work or the rate of energy spent, okay, in maintaining the current. That's it, nothing else. Okay. So power is electrical power. This is the definition of electrical energy. Okay. And when it comes to electrical power is defined as the rate of or rate of work done in maintaining a steady current in an electrical circuit. Okay. So this is about the definition of electrical power. Now quite easy, right? You can visualize this. Now when you are maintaining certain steady current, okay, what actually happens inside the conductor, that we need to understand, and hence we can get the mathematical expression for both electrical power and electrical energy. Okay, because the mathematical expression of power is very important, and now we can get it once we have the idea about the resistor. Okay, now we'll see the or will derive the expression for electrical power when a cell or a battery is connected to an external source or a device. For the simplest possibility, I'll be considering resistor now. Okay, so when we connect a battery to a resistor, what is the power or power loss, we can say, power of the battery. Okay, so the derivation is as follows, but you don't need to worry about the derivation part of it, because the derivation is not a standard derivation as of the board syllabus, but you need to go through the derivation once, because this derivation clarifies you many doubts or gives you the clarity about the concept of electrical power. Okay, so say you have a battery, a cell connected to a resistor of resistance R ohm. Okay, let V be the voltage of the battery or potential difference across the terminals of the battery, and hence V itself will be the potential difference across the resistor given, isn't it? So V volt is the potential difference here, and hence V volt itself is the potential difference here. And now let me take these 2 points and name this point as point A and this point as point B, and VA be the potential, okay, VA be the potential at point A and VB be the potential at B. Now, see, you should visualize the moment of charge inside the conductor. When you apply potential difference to a conductor, okay, a regular conductor, what happens is the electrons, the free electrons inside the conductor starts to drift upon under the influence of potential difference applied due to the battery, isn't it? They start to drift towards the positive terminal of the battery, the free electrons. Now, while they drift, the drift velocity of the electrons does not vary, it remains constant, isn't it? The drift velocity remains constant. But what we know is, when you have a free charge, say you have a charge of q coulomb and you suspended this charge, you left this charge into a region of potential difference. Say you have potential at this point as VA and here you have potential VB, and assume that VA is greater than VB. In this particular situation, what happens? You leave certain charge here, the charge starts to increase its velocity, or the velocity of the charge starts to increase in the direction of towards VB. And now this increase in velocity keeps on increasing. I mean, the velocity of the charge keeps on increasing because there exists potential difference here. The loss of potential energy of the charge is continuously converted into its kinetic energy, right? So here what happens is the charge actually accelerates, isn't it? So what is the meaning of continuous increasing of kinetic energy? It means its velocity is continuously increasing. When the velocity is continuously increasing, obviously the charge should be accelerating, isn't it? But when you come to the same situation inside the conductor, there are free charges moving under the influence of applied field, but they are not accelerating, they are moving with constant velocity, isn't it? So certain charge here at A will move to point B. Okay, this is when the charge is left in a free space with certain potential difference. And when you consider the same charge, same amount of charge inside a conductor, what we know is inside a conductor, the ions of the metal are fixed in their lattice, and the charge, the free charge, will be undergoing random motion. And when you apply the external field using the battery, along with this random motion, the charges starts to drift. When they drift, they start to collide with the ions of the metal, right? So that is what it is about. When they drift, it is expected that the charges should be undergoing acceleration in this direction, because it's the force applied, electrical force, right? F is equal to EQ, and hence they should be accelerating in this direction, but they are not accelerating, they are moving with constant velocity. Which means when certain charge moves from this point to this point, okay, certain amount of charge moves from this point to this point, rather than moving, I should prefer saying drifting, right? So when certain charge drift from this point to this point, it is expected that the velocity or drift velocity at this point should be greater than the velocity, drift velocity at this point, because it's undergoing continuous, it's undergoing acceleration, or it's experiencing electrical force continuously. So here it is expected that the velocity of the charge should be greater than this point at this point. But when you actually look into the practical situation, this doesn't happen. The drift velocity at this point and at this point are one and the same. So what is happening to the extra velocity or extra energy of the charge? Now this is about the interpretation of the motion of the charge in terms of field and force. Now when I take the same interpretation in terms of potential energy and kinetic energy, see the potential energy of certain charge of this charge at this point is greater than the potential energy of the same charge at this point, right? Because we need to have potential difference and hence the charge can move. So here you have higher potential and here you have lesser potential, you have certain charge moving. The potential energy of the charge at this point is greater than the potential energy of the charge at this point, which means while the drifting of the charge from this point to this point, the charge must lose certain potential energy, isn't it? Because the potential energy at this point is greater than the potential energy at this point. So when charge moves from this point to this point, say point A to point B, it will lose certain potential energy. Now what is happening to that potential energy? It should be converted into kinetic energy if it's a free space, right? Whatever the loss of potential energy will be gained by the charge in terms of potential energy. But now when it comes to the situation of inside a conductor, you see, you can observe here that the potential energy is lost but the kinetic energy is not gained because the drift velocity remains constant. So what is happening to that extra energy? Energy must be conserved. So what is happening to that lost potential energy? So the lost potential energy is now converted or given to these ions of the metals, because while drifting, when the electrons collide with these ions, they share the excess energy where what they gain in which they should have gained as kinetic energy. So the loss of potential energy, whatever the loss of potential energy that a charge experience, is given to individual atoms or the ions of the metal while colliding with them, and then this atoms or ions of the metal starts to vibrate more vigorously, and hence you can expect the conductor to heat up. Okay, that it's the vibration of lattice ions itself gives rise to heating effect, isn't it? So this is one thing where you can visualize the heating effect of electric current. Now this heat energy dissipated per unit time, okay, the heat energy dissipated per unit time itself is the power loss due to the cable or due to the conductor. Okay, so energy is lost in the form of heat. Now why the energy is lost? Because the ions are vibrating more and hence the temperature increases. So and hence it's dissipating heat outside. Okay, it's giving away the heat. Why is the vibration happening more vigorously to the ions? Because the free electrons of the inside the conductor are drifting, but drifting with constant velocity, and the loss of potential energy, instead of converting into kinetic energy, is given to or is shared to the ions, and hence the ions gain that energy and why it starts to vibrate, and hence the entire conductor heats up. Okay, so this is what is heating effect of electric current, and the rate at which it heats up. Okay, the rate at which it heats up itself is the power dissipation of the given electrical conductor. So now let me take the same concept and gain the expression for power loss when you have certain current flowing through this resistance R. Okay, so say we now potential energy, say you have certain charge, a positive charge. Okay, this is theoretical, as you know, it's only the negative charge which can conduct electricity in a conductor, in a metal wire like this. But let us assume you have certain positive charge moving from positive terminal to the negative terminal through the resistor R of resistance R. And now the potential energy of this charge Q at point A, okay, potential energy of charge Q at point A is VAQ, right? UA is equal to VAQ, and the potential energy of the same charge at point B is UB, which is equal to VBQ, isn't it? Because we know that U is equal to V into Q, that's it, very easy. And now the loss of potential energy of the charge, okay, when it moves from point A to point B, okay, loss of potential energy is given by delta U is equal to, we always take final potential energy minus initial potential energy, right? So this is going to be, final is VBQ minus initial is VAQ. Now this is what is the loss of potential energy, which is delta U is equal to, upon taking Q as common factor, will be left with VB minus VA. Now what is this V here? V is the potential difference between the points A and B. So V itself is VA minus VB, right? Potential difference between the points A and B, or I can also say that as potential difference across the resistance R. And now I can write this delta U as minus QV, right? Because this is the loss of potential energy, not the gain of potential energy when it moves from point A to point B. So this much of potential energy is lost during the motion of charge from A to B. Now come to this concept. So the loss of potential energy obviously is not converted into kinetic energy, because the speed of the electrons or speed of the charge remains the same, drift velocity of the charge remains the same. So this much of energy is spent in heating up the resistor here, okay. This resistor is will heat up due to this excess potential, due to the potential difference, due to the potential energy difference between the points A and B. So this much energy is now given to resistor to heat itself. Now due to this potential energy, the resistor R heats up, and hence I can do it, I can take this as, this energy is expected to convert it into kinetic energy of this much, but it does not happen. Instead this energy is utilized to heat up the resistor, and hence the energy which I can take as electrical energy in heating up, okay. Electrical energy spent in heating up the resistor is equal to QV, okay. Now what is power? Power is rate of doing work, okay. So or like energy spent per unit time is also power. So then electrical power is given by energy by time, which is QV by T, right. Now look at this, you have something familiar to you. What is this Q by T? Charge per unit time, charge moving per unit time. Q by T is I, current in the resistor, current through the resistor. So power, electrical power then can be expressed as power P is equal to Q by T is I. So I can write it as VI. So this is one expression, very important expression for power loss of a resistor when you have the potential difference across the resistor as V and the current through the resistor as I, okay. When you have voltage V across the resistor and I, current I through the resistor, the power loss is P, which is equal to VI, okay. This is about power loss of the resistor due to the heating effect. Now this power is not only spent in heating up the resistor, because it's only the resistor connected here, so we can expect only the heating effect. But if you have some other appliance connected, electrical appliance or electrical device connected like a bulb, there electrical energy or electrical power is spent in glowing the bulb, isn't it? Which means here it is electrical energy converted into heat energy, because it's only resistor that you have. But when you have a bulb, there part of it is converted into light energy and the part of it is converted into heat energy, because obviously we can expect the certain resistance to be there in a bulb, and hence part of it is converted into light and part of it is converted into heat energy. And if you have a fan, okay, if you have a fan, then this electrical power is consumed by the fan, and hence it's converted into mechanical energy, right? Electrical energy of this much is converted into mechanical energy there, okay. So in all of those, heating effect will also be there, but that heating effect, it is due to the resistance of the wire, and lesser the resistance, lesser the heating effect. But the main goal of an electrical device is not to heat up. Yeah, the main goal is to heat up when you have heaters, right? Electrical heaters and iron, the pressers. There the main goal itself is to heat up the device. But when you take electrical devices like a fan or a bulb and other things, there the speakers, there the main goal is to convert electrical energy into other forms of energy, and this itself is the power, or I can say this itself is the energy which is utilized for all those kind of other conversions, okay. The magnitude of energy is this much, QV. Part of this QV, when you take a bulb, is converted into a light energy, and part of this QV is converted into heat. Part is always converted into heat, because there will be resistance in any wire that you take, but a particular device will have its own aim, its own goal of conversion. You take a fan, part of this, most of the energy of this will be converted into mechanical energy in rotating the blades of the fan, and some of the energy from this will be converted into heat, okay. So that's how it works. But when you take a pressure heater, electrical heater, there this electrical geyser, there this much of this energy is completely utilized to heat up the coil or heat up the conductor. And this is the expression for electrical power, P is equal to VI. Now the other expression for power, using Ohm's law, I can write V is equal to I R, where R is the resistance of the given resistor, and hence the expression for power P becomes equal to V is I R, so and hence it becomes I squared R. So this is another expression for electrical power, and similarly you can also write this as P is equal to, from the same expression of Ohm's law, I becomes equal to V by R. When I put I equal to V by R there, the same expression can also be written as V squared by R. So all these expressions, P is equal to Vi, P is equal to I squared R, P is equal to V squared by R, gives us the formula for power loss when certain current I is flowing through the resistor R with the potential difference of V volt across it. Okay, these formulae are very important. Okay, now let us look into a question there. Question number 74. Okay, page number 126 from the reference. You have two electric bulbs given. Okay, one bulb rated 220 volt 100 watt, the other rated 220 volt 60 watt. Okay, which of these has the greater resistance? and y. So now you can see here we have two bulbs given, and whenever you get the data about any electrical device, it's always given in terms of the voltage to be maintained across the terminals of the device and the power of the device. Okay, it's not about the current which should be flowing through that, which is maintained, which is given to you every time. The basic data given to you every time when you get an electrical device, say mixer grinder or a fan or a speaker or a television or a bulb, every time they give you, so this is the power of the device, okay, electrical power required to run the device, okay. So they give you the power, and they also give you the voltage to be maintained across the terminals of the device, okay. That is what it is. So you can observe this when you have when you take a bulb, it's mentioned, okay, 5 watt, 7 watt, 9 watt, and to be connected to 220 to 240 volts, okay. That is how you can find the data on any electrical device. Even when you take a charger, it's mentioned 110 to 220 volt input, okay. The output is steady 5 volt DC. So that is how you take a speaker, okay. They provide the data of the speaker, like the power is power output of the speaker is 2500 watts, 2000 watts, which means that the electrical power required to run the speaker is 2500 watts, okay. That is what it means, and it should be connected to a 220 volt line, okay, and they always give you the maximum output 2500. Similarly, a mixer grinder, so they mention the power consumed or power output, which are the same. That again depends on the efficiency. Those things are all not discussed here, but power consumed and power output, which can be taken as same, is mentioned on any electrical device along with the input voltage to be given. It's always 220 volt, the regular home, any home household voltage. So in this particular problem we have two bulbs, okay. So I'll take, and the data is as follows: P1 is given, V1 is given, P2 is given, V2 is given, right? Yeah. So, and what is asked is which one has the greater resistance. So we need to get R1 and R2. They are not actually asking us to get the value of R1 and R2. They are just asking us to compare the values of R1 and R2. That's fine. Let us do the problem as given, as asked in the question. So 220 volt, 100 watt. So first has the 220 volt line and 100 watt output. The second has 220 volt, the same 220 volt line to be connected, but the output of 60 watt. Okay. Now see. The voltage is constant for both the bulbs, right? So now we need to choose a relation which connects P, V and R, and the relation is P is equal to V squared by R, okay. And from this relation, since V is constant for both the bulbs and power and resistance are varying, I can see P is inversely proportional to R, okay, because V is constant for both the bulbs, 220 volt to 220 volt. So I'm left with P inversely proportional to R. So which means that since P1 is greater than P2, R2 should be greater than R1, right, because it is inversely proportional. You can actually get the values of R1 and R2 using the expression. You do that, okay, get the values of R1 and R2, you will have more clarity. But as of the given question is concerned, we can conclude that since P is inversely proportional to R and P1 is greater than P2, we can conclude R2 is greater than R1. So resistance of the second bulb is greater than the resistance of the first bulb. Okay, this is about the given question. Okay, now assume that you have a situation where you need to transfer this power or electrical energy, I can say, from one place to the other place over a long distance, okay, large distance. So say this is the point where I have either the source of EMF, I can say, okay, source of the electrical energy, that can be a generator, a dynamo, and it can also be a battery. Now for simplicity, I'll simply take the battery. Okay, say I have a battery, okay, of certain voltage. Now the electrical power has to be transmitted through this long cables, long wires, to a device on the other side, okay, say a bulb, okay, and let R be the resistance in the bulb. So this resistance is due to the nature of the bulb, right? When you take an incandescent bulb, the resistance is much greater, and when you take the bulbs like LEDs and all, the resistance is smaller. So resistance will be there for any device that you connect. Okay, so R is the resistance of the device, and let RC, okay, RC be the resistance of the entire conductor that is used in the transmission of power. Okay, so now you are transmitting electrical power from this battery to that bulb using these cables. Okay, now what is preferred, maintaining high voltage or maintaining low voltage is preferred while transmitting the data or transmitting the power. Let us work for that, we will see. Okay, so as I told you, when they give certain electrical device, they mention the resistance of that. Okay, resistance is the inherent property. Okay, it cannot change with the different application of with the application of different current or with the application of different voltage. Resistance doesn't vary, you know that, right? The expression is R is equal to rho L by A. It's pure, the resistance is purely dependent on the physical dimensions and the nature of material. That doesn't vary. So resistance of this bulb is fixed, you cannot change that. Even this resistance of the entire conductor is also fixed, RC, you cannot change that upon applying any current or any voltage. And now R is the voltage across this and the power consumed by this, right? You need certain amount of work has to be done. We all expect this bulb to glow with certain brightness. So in order to glow with that expected brightness, certain power has to be provided to this bulb. So power provided to the bulb or power consumed, power output of the bulb is again a constant which will not vary. Okay, P and R are constants. Okay, now we need to decide whether the voltage across this V to be greater or lesser. Okay, now let us work for that. Let V be the voltage across the given bulb or given the final output resistor, the device, electrical device to which that power has to be transferred. Now you can see here I need to get the expression for the most efficient way of transmitting the power or transferring the power is spending less energy or with very less heat dissipation through the wires of the transmission, isn't it? Because these wires also has got a certain resistance RC. Now you want as less power loss in the due to the wires, because this resistance will make the conductor heat up, isn't it? When the conductor heats up, and then the energy is dissipated in the wires itself. You will not get the efficient transmission here, right? This is what happens even in our daily power transmission. From when the power transmits from the one place to the other place, this is what happens. A lot of power is lost in the wires, but we need to minimize it. We cannot make it zero, obviously, but we need to minimize the power loss. So the power loss in the conductor, okay, let that power loss be PC. Power loss in the conductor, okay, not in the device, that is fixed. In the power loss in the conductor be PC. Now look at this conductor, okay, this conductor and the device are connected in series, and hence current through the conductor and the bulb or the electrical device should be constant, right? So this point, this point, this point, this point inside the bulb, here, and inside the battery, I is constant, current is constant, because it's a series connection now. So using this this bulb, if I write the expression for current, it becomes using Ohm's law, I can write V is equal to I R, and hence I becomes equal to V by R, and the same current is flowing through this, and hence I can write PC is equal to I squared R, and from this expression I is equal to V by R, right? So just a minute. So sorry, I took the other expression. The expression for power, I can take that as P is equal to VI, because P is a constant here, and hence I becomes equal to, because this is the output that we require here, and I becomes equal to P by V, where P is the power consumption of the electrical device and V is the voltage across that, and PC is IC squared RC, I can write, but IC and I are the same current is flowing through them, and using that PC becomes equal to, in terms of IC I can simply put I and I is P by V whole squared RC. So PC becomes equal to P squared RC by V squared, okay. So this gives us the idea that PC, the power dissipated in the conductor, is inversely proportional to square of the potential difference or square of the voltage across the device. So from this conclusion, we can say that if we maintain sufficiently high voltage, we can get very less power loss, okay. That is why in power transmission, while transmitting power, high voltage is maintained to reduce the power loss in the cables. You can see this, the voltage rating of the cables, voltage rating during the power transmission is in terms of thousands of volts, right? 18,000 volt, 10,000 volt, 5,000 volt. That is how they rise the voltage to that level in order to reduce the power loss in the cables, okay. So this PC is the power loss in the cables, and we have reduced the power loss by increasing the potential difference, okay. Clear on that? So yes, this is what is about the transmission of electrical power and the care that should be taken while transmitting in order to avoid power loss through the cables. So in order to the most, or we can say the efficient way of transmitting power is by increasing the voltage because PC, power loss through the cables, is inversely proportional to square of the voltage.